Speaking at a town hall meeting in Orlando, Florida, President Bush was asked by a child how he felt when he heard about the terrorist attack. Bush's response was extremely interesting. Recounting the events of that day from his perspective, he said that he saw the first plane hit the tower on a television that was, quote, obviously on, as he sat outside a classroom at Booker Elementary School in Sarasota, Florida. The problem is that no one could have seen the footage of the first plane hitting the tower, since there was no known live coverage of the first plane. There was no live coverage of the event because nobody expected an attack. The footage that was taken allegedly of Flight 11 striking the North Tower was captured by Jules Naudet and his French film crew at 8:46 that morning and would not be released to news outlets until a day after the attacks. The president's incredible statement that he saw the first aerial assault was another important item that was omitted by the 9/11 Commission report.
Guys, don't forget number 2.
Yeah. This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. The CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story, obviously calling our sources and trying to figure out exactly what happened, but clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning. Yeah. This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. The CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story, obviously calling our sources and trying to figure out exactly what happened, but clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning.
There were already about 15 other people in the room when we were watching CNN, and they showed the first plane, a replay of the first plane hitting. And then they showed the second plane hitting. So we stood there and watched that for several minutes, and we were just all in shock. And we started filtering out of the office and went back to our cubicle area.
I had taken my father-in-law to the eye doctor for an examination, so I was sitting in the waiting room watching television while he was getting examined. And that's when I saw the first plane hit the tower in New York. And immediately that said to me that we as an agency had failed to give warning of this terrorist attack.
I was sitting outside the classroom waiting to go in, and I saw an airplane hit the tower of a TV. You know, the TV was obviously on, and I used to fly myself, and I said, well, there's one terrible pilot. And I said it must have been a horrible accident. But I was whisked off there. I didn't have much time to think about it.
We have really early morning patients for barium enemas and upper GIs where we drink the barium and we look at their intestines. And then after these were done in the morning, one of the soldiers who was a more senior soldier, specialist, I believe, he was out in the lobby and he came out into the back room where we all were, and he said, holy shit, I just saw a plane crash into one of the Twin Towers. And 3 of us were like, really? That's really strange. And so we walked out to the front desk.
He'd seen it on some television?
He saw it on the hospital TV, right at the lobby,
okay,
where you come in and check in for your x-rays. And we stood there, me and him and 2 other soldiers, and we looked at the TV, and you could see the smoke coming out of the building, and at that moment I saw the next plane coming crash into the other tower. So now both towers were hit. And we all were just absolutely silent. You know, we knew what this meant. This was intentional.
Okay, but what you're saying here is that he saw the first plane hit, captured on a live television camera somehow.
Yes.
Which has never been acknowledged in the public domain.
Yes.
So he saw the first plane crash, and then he came in to tell that to you.
Mm-hmm. The department, it was just a big hallway, and he just saw this, and then he walked back, and there was maybe 6 or 7 of us standing there, and he said, "Holy shit, there's a plane just crashed into the tower."
Yeah.
And a few of us were like, "What, really?" And we went to see for ourselves, and we were standing there watching this building on fire.
One building on fire.
Yes, and as we stood there, we saw the second plane come, and then all of us, I think there was like 4 of us standing there at the moment. 1, 2, me, him, 2 or 3 other people, 2 other people. It's hard to remember. Yes, and we stood there and said, "Holy shit, that wasn't an accident. Something's happening." And just as, you know, I mean, I also have gone over this in my head many times and thought, well, maybe a video camera, maybe he didn't see the plane actually crash in. Well, maybe a video camera, maybe he didn't see the plane actually crash in. Maybe the video camera was focusing in on the tower burning or whatever, but I don't know. It just, he said he saw it crashing in.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is also...
And I didn't doubt this because I was so enclosed in the base and the life on the base that you don't see TV from the outside.
Yeah.
You know, it just...
But you don't know what channel this was. This was some internal military hospital channel.
Yeah, and they do have regular channels like CNN or NBC or something, but as far as I know, we're not allowed to change it. We had no control over this. The TV was set. So. And
do you remember, was there any commentary, like any newscaster saying, "Oh my God," or it was just a picture?
It's just the picture. And there wasn't any news, there wasn't anybody running. I mean, as far as I remember, and we didn't stay long at the TV, because it happened almost immediately that over the loudspeaker, following this, I would say within, 10 minutes, something came over the loudspeaker, maybe even less than 10 minutes, for soldiers to report and get their weapons.
WNEW radio station was, in my opinion, making light of the situation. They were watching replays of the impact on TV and giving a play-by-play in their broadcast, as if it was a sporting event of some kind. Since everyone was freaking out and Francis and Sabrina were crying, I decided that I'd get up and change the station. On my way to work, I heard on the radio that someone had just rode a plane into the World Trade Center. It was Craig Carton on WNEW-FM. He seemed to think it was a small private plane. When the second plane hit, I knew it was much more serious. It was September 11th, 8:30 a.m. My workday was about to commence. As always, I start my day after a morning workout. Little did I know what was about to occur, however, and I wasn't shocked at all. After watching the replay of the first plane crashing into the WTC, I knew it was a terrorist strike. When the second plane entered the television screen, it confirmed my gut feelings. As I drew nearer, I noticed a replay of the first plane flying into the tower. Initially, I thought it was a small single-engine aircraft. However, upon further examination, it dawned on me that this was no ordinary plane. It was a sizable jetliner that had plunged into the side of the tallest skyscraper in Manhattan, New York. Transfixed by the scene, my coworkers and I stood in awe as the horrific scene unfolded before us. Not long after, the second plane hit the adjoining tower, and we knew for certain that the great United States of America was under attack. She told me to turn on the news to see what was happening. I saw the replay of the first plane hitting the North Tower. At first I thought it was a horrible accident, then the second plane hit the South Tower. I remember sitting in my living room with my mom on the phone, gasping in horror as we realized this was a deliberate attack. Well, there were a number of emotions all of us had. My room was filled with people, because I have the only television set on this whole floor at my law firm. We saw a replay of the first plane striking. And then we saw the second plane striking, live, and there were screams of agony and tears. We didn't know how many people ultimately would be killed, approximately 3,000. And we were just overwhelmed. But we knew America would stand up and respond.